Welcome to People More Interesting Than Me, the podcast, where I step back and let fascinating individuals take the spotlight. Join me as I sit down with incredible guests who captivate and inspire, showcasing their stories, experiences, and wisdom that make them truly extraordinary. Tune in for engaging conversations that'll leave you enlightened and entertained. At least I'm entertained. Joining us this week is Emily Booth, the visionary founder of Project Fleri. The incredible initiative is dedicated to helping children from Haiti families overcome the significant obstacle of accessing education by covering tuition costs and providing additional support to keep kids in school. Emily believes that creating long-term effects on poverty in Haiti starts with education, and her work to create a positive ripple effect across communities, empowering people to take control of their futures and transform their lives for the better. In this episode, Emily will share the story behind Project Fleri, how it became, the challenges and successes she's encountered, and the life-changing impact the project is having on children and families in Haiti. Whether you're passionate about education, social justice, or simply looking for inspiration, Emily's journey and her commitment to making a difference will captivate and motivate you. Enjoy. Well, thank you very much for being on the show, Emily. I really appreciate you taking your time out. And we're doing this after work, which I'm always I know that I do like a lot of work for the podcast but stuff. But when a random person asks you, "Hey, you mind dedicating like an hour of your after work time?" Because
Yeah.
especially as a parent, that's like prime time.
Yeah.
That's why you stay up late and ruin your sleep for the next day because you want to watch like what are we watching right now? I'm rewatching Bear right now. I don't know if you've watched that or not.
Oh, yeah. I have. He's a cook or a chef.
Yeah, yeah. Or where
Yeah,
they
that
say
was
like
good.
corner and
Yeah.
chef and all that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I appreciate you volunteering your time.
Of course.
But
Well, I like
that's
this topic, so.
well, perfect. I was gonna say like I've talked to other people in NPOs, nonprofit organizations, and before I start my string of questions, I'll do a little spiel like it's amazing that there are people that get involved in that. And I know like it's I just think it's so selfless to some point because you guys are like your whole job is helping others. It's not like it's a small portion. It's not like, like I'm trying to think of other industries where it's like I guess you could say nursing or like
Hmm.
doctors, but like that's your whole like it's not a company, but I guess you could make an argument it's a company, but you
Yeah,
guys are
kind of.
supporting yourself and supporting the cause. Um,
Yeah.
but again, I think it's amazing. You are better people than me. That's all I know. That's like the
I
main
don't know
fact I want to
about
drive
that.
home.
I actually feel really lucky that I get to make a living
That's
helping other
exactly
people.
what you would say. That's
That's
exactly
exactly
what you
what I
would.
would say. Yeah, I feel
Yes,
like
a
I'm the
person.
lucky one that I get to do something I like for work. So,
I think that's equivalent to when somebody like rescues a puppy and they're like, "Who rescued who?"
oh, it is. Yeah. Well, it's true.
No, that's good. That's good. Um, so kind of tell us a little bit about your job and then can you how you got to this project?
Yeah. So, to start, I grew up as like a military brat. I moved around all the time. When I was in seventh grade, my dad's in the Air Force. He deployed to Haiti after the earthquake in 2010. So he was doing humanitarian relief there, working with orphanages, trying to get kids that were in the process of adoption to the States. And while he was there, obviously, he sent our family tons of pictures and our hearts went out to these kids. We felt so bad. We started fundraising at our local church to send tents and all this different stuff. Um, but he made connections with a local priest who, worked with some different children's homes and whatnot and had a parish that was destroyed. So when he came back to the US, they, like I said, they kept that connection. And my family would go every year to visit Haiti from like the time I was, yeah, like I said, seventh grade, so 13. Um, yeah, so I got really attached to Haiti. I fell in love with like the kids and the community, and I just had so many ideas on how I could make their lives better. So in undergrad, I studied international studies, and I think it was my senior year. I was like, I just need to move to Haiti. I'll start something. We don't have our own nonprofit. We've just been kind of doing things like, um, I don't know, unofficially, I would say. So I'm like, I'm going to move to Haiti. We were working with this children's home, and I was like, I'm going to get it accredited with the Haitian government so that these kids can be eligible for adoption. And then I'll see where things go from there. So started Project Fleri. That was my first mission, was the children's home. I got it accredited with IBERS. It's the Haitian Social Services. There's only about, I think, 40 in the whole country. There's hundreds of orphanages in the country, but none of them do it the right way through the Haitian government. They're kind of off the record. So we're one of 40 that are accredited for adoptions in Haiti. I was really proud of that. And then um, I sort of shifted my focus when I saw so many kids unable to go to school. So our orphanage is in a neighborhood, and kids are at school, and then there's kids outside our gate that are walking around all day long doing chores for their parents or whatever. And I hated it. So I got to know all these kids. I met with their families and um, figured out how we could pay for them to go to school. Started fundraising, and now 5 years later, we've got our own elementary school, school lunch program, and after school program, like you name it, tons of different things. So we've grown quite a bit.
Oh, that's
That
great.
makes sense. Yeah.
And my just a question I have off the top of my head, speaking from like a as a project manager, how do you maintain a level of, I want to say, care for the kids while trying to maximize the number of kids you reach? Because I feel like, just like you're saying, kids at the gates, like you're trying to help as many as possible, but also you're a nonprofit. So you're trying to stretch as much money as possible to help as many kids. But at that point,
Yeah.
you want you want,
That's a great question. So yeah, and that's the question that
isn't that like the
we
big
were struck
question?
with in the beginning. No, it's not a big question. I mean, it's the question that we asked ourselves when we started the project and when we implemented new programs. We're like, do we want to be huge and help, 500 kids go to school and simply pay so it's $250 for tuition, books, and uniforms. And we decided that rather than making our mission super wide, we wanted to have the deepest impact possible on the kids that we admit to our organization. So I would say we're not growing slowly in the sense that we're implementing new programs that can like deepen the impact with each student. So for example, we paid for 50 student scholarships, and then we realized, well, these kids aren't doing really well in school. So instead of paying for 50 more scholarships, we're going to start an after school program where they get one-on-one tutoring. And then they're not showing up to tutoring. So we're going to start a social, like, we're going to work with social workers and meet with their parents, once a month. So that's more of the approach that we've taken. And every year we learn a little bit more about what works in that field and what's making a long-lasting impact.
No, that's great. Because what I would imagine, on a smaller scale nonprofit, they would all look at numbers, how like a lot of nonprofits like to, oh, we've got like 500 kids in there, but like they show sometimes not saying they're wrong, obviously, but they're
Yeah.
showing you photos of like probably underpopulated parts of the school, whereas they're trying to, jam pack and put the numbers out there just so they can kind of, pump up that how many
You're
people they're helping. But in the
in the numbers, they don't show you that, like what you're talking about, like the kids that you're actually helping. Are they actually, is the school helping them? And
Yeah.
that's awesome that you guys are kind of redirecting the funds and actually kind of having a feedback system where it's not just like we got them in the school. We've got them in the school for 5 years. Once they leave, that's their problem. You guys are actually, you're caring about the output, and what you put in is actually going towards something beneficial rather than checking a box, which is awesome.
Yeah, we care more about outcomes than outputs. So we want to make sure that, you know, a kid starts in our program, they make it through high school, and then we're there for them so they can find a job. And that's what we mean by like the ripple effects of education. Like there are no ripple effects if, that person isn't successful in their education. So an example that comes to mind is when I first started, my goal was to just grow and give as many scholarships as possible. And then we met with kids that were like in the third grade. We were doing reading assessments and stuff like that, and realized that there were tons of kids that couldn't even read and write. And so their education wasn't really making a difference. You were just paying for them to go to school, and the teachers weren't trained in the way to like teach different types of learning styles. So we had to, invest in teacher training programs and all of this. So yeah, it's definitely worthwhile to go deep in your impact, I think.
So speaking to that, how do you, obviously they're in a completely different environment from kids in, like the US, where they're like obviously always stimulated, and they've got so much um different types of pressure, whereas in Haiti I would imagine they have a large amount of pressure, but different obviously than kids in the US. How do you, how do I quantify this? How do you get them motivated? Like, for example, one thing that I've learned probably in the let's say last 5 or 10 years is like I have book anxiety, if that makes sense. Like
Hmm.
and I feel like some people are like this too. Like I can't stop reading a book, and I've slowly gotten out of that phase. Like if I don't like the book, I just got to let it go. Like
Hmm.
it's a bad relationship. I just got to let that book go. And that you just need to read no matter what it is, if it's like comic books or it's like, romance novels. Like my mom has probably read every Nora Roberts and who's that other woman? I don't know what the other one is. It's a big one, but she's read like hundreds of books. And how do you put that fire in them? Because obviously if they can't read, like the biggest thing I've seen is um, parallel reading, and like kids love to see other kids doing it.
Yeah.
And that just it's like putting kindling to the fire, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like if they see other kids doing it, they'll want to do it. You
Yeah.
like it's probably like when we're similar ages, but like Pokemon cards, like
Hmm.
people see other kids with Pokemon cards, they want Pokemon cards. They
Yeah.
see other people reading like, like comic books. So how do you guys look for that, I guess, that fire to learn, to read, to kind of get that in Haiti?
Yeah, I think you made a good point about seeing other kids do it. I think that's a huge thing. And going to school is a privilege in Haiti, so we have that on our side. Not everybody can afford to go to school. So that alone, they're excited to be there. Um, but I think also working with the parents. So a lot of the parents haven't been to school. I would say most of the parents of the kids that we work with can't read and write themselves. So having meetings with them and like instilling in them the importance of this opportunity so that they can also be motivators to the kids is really important. And then we also have some incentives programs. So if you get good grades, we, take the kids to the pool, or we'll have like a fun party and things like that. So um, there's also incentives to stay in the program with getting good grades, and going after school program. We'll give them a snack, and not everybody gets to eat at home, so they come and they do that. But yeah, you have a good point. We definitely found that we need to, give them that fire to wanna learn those things. And kids like to have fun, so we have to incorporate some fun in there as well.
Yeah, and from what I've noticed, it's like just to touch back on the fire metaphor. It's like I don't know if you've ever made a fire, but at some point, like the fire is basically going. Like you've got to a
Mhm.
point where it's burning through, and I feel like you have to find. And this isn't just reading. I mean, I guess you can make the argument for math, but math is a little bit harder to get everyone going on it,
Mhm.
just because it's not you can do some stuff with math on like a video games or like Minecraft and stuff like that, whatever the kids do. But on a reading level, it feels like if you find that for someone, it's like a self-sustaining kind of like brain. I don't know what you say, brain feed or brain advancement for that. Just
Yeah.
um one thing I was thinking, what grade does the school go up to?
So in Haiti, you go through, like, I would say, like, you go through 12th grade and then, like, the US equivalent of 12th grade, and then you have a 13th grade, which they call, like, pre-college or philo.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, that's where they go. And then you graduate from high school after you finish philo and you take a big, like, nationwide exam.
Okay. And
Yeah.
you guys do the full school for that.
We do the full
That's
school.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Because
Hmm.
I was curious if like you guys had a certain cap and what the transition for like that would be. Um, so you guys, how long have you been going for again? The
5 years.
5 years. Okay. So I was trying to quantify like obviously the program's been going for 5 years.
Hmm.
Um, if it was going for longer, I would say like what's it like for the transition, but that's not well,
Well, we kind of are
maybe.
there. So when we started, we weren't like, um, you have to be in this grade or you have to be in this situation. We kind of
Hmm.
took kids, like our families that had kids in all different grade levels. A lot of people had had gone years without going to school. So we had, like 21-year-olds in the 10th grade. But we were like, hey, this is a great opportunity for you to graduate from high school. And only 20% of Haitians will finish philo. And this is because they can't afford it. So, and most of the jobs require, like, you want to work at a grocery store, you want to work anywhere, requires that you finish philo. So getting them through that just like puts them way ahead of the game, of everyone else in Haiti. But we've had 4 graduates so far. One went off to nursing school. Another one's in law school in Haiti right now. It's not quite the same as the US. It's way more affordable, so we can help with that. And then the other 2 went to trade schools and are doing really well.
That's
And
awesome.
then this year we have 12 like philo students that are going to be graduating. And so we've been doing career development stuff with them. But things in Haiti have been so crazy. They keep pushing back the test. We don't see them taking the exam until like September,
That's
just
crazy.
because of the political stuff. School shuts down, it opens back up. So the school year is like, they're almost like a full year behind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's great though. That 12, that's what is that? 4 times as much uh grad 3 times as much graduates than you guys have had so far.
Yeah. And yeah, yeah. We have 160 kids that we're giving scholarships to in our program right now.
No, that's
And they're
great.
in all different grades, kindergarten through 13. So it's one of our bigger classes.
So obviously you talked about kind of like that, trying to find out what the issue is. It's not just giving the money for the school. What are some of the biggest hurdles that you kind of face? I know you mentioned it kind of already is the external force of, the government shutting down and stuff like that.
Mhm.
What are some of the stuff that people wouldn't necessarily think of that could be a hurdle?
I feel like this is something that people do think of, but for girls, it's teenage pregnancy. So we have quite a few graduates this year, but um, we lose a lot of girls due to pregnancy. And until recently, we've opened our own school. So we've got a school for kindergarten through 5th grade that we opened and we constructed. and we're growing it year by year as the grades get older. But we also work with another school in the community, and that's where we give out the scholarships. And you can't go to school if you're pregnant, and there's nobody like to take care of the babies, and we haven't really thought of anything for that. So that's a big one. Um, and we haven't really found, like, we have like sexual education stuff, or like courses, or I guess not meetings. Why can't I think of it right now? But um yeah, we haven't been able to solve that issue. And then another hurdle, I think, is people feeling hopeful for the future. So, they want to, why continue through high school when you can go get a job working like on the street or something like that? Because there aren't a ton of jobs in Haiti, and we struggle to find jobs for them after they graduate. And so I think just ensuring that we're supporting them all the way through um, their careers is really important, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense because one of my other questions was how important is the education to a lot of these kids and students? And you kind of already quantified that with saying that basically if they don't pass, I forgot the test name already, but if they don't pass the test, like all these jobs, what is the job market like compared to people, who don't have or don't pass this test?
Yeah, so really, if you don't pass the test, you can't get a job as a waiter at a hotel or any of the jobs other than like selling on the street, really. Or you would have to go to a technical school if you wanted to do like construction or plumbing or something like that. Regardless, you'll have to go to a school. Um, but it's much harder. And most people, like most of the parents of the kids that we work with, will like pick up random jobs, or they'll sell used clothes on the street. They call it Pepe, or they'll sell like produce that they find, and you know, live day to day. It's pretty tough.
So as a nonprofit organization in the United States, how difficult is it to kind of have boots on the ground? Like, there's one thing, obviously, being there and obviously seeing it, being able to coordinate stuff.
Hmm.
How difficult is it to kind of, and I know you guys probably have a couple of people or an office down there.
Hmm.
How difficult is it kind of to coordinate stuff like that?
It's difficult. Probably harder for me than everyone there because I want to be there so badly. It's hard not to like see everything firsthand. Um, But we've got a good team there. We have 27 full-time staff members. So we've got, that includes teachers, our principal, like our tutors, and then two like director positions. We've got like our in-country director that handles everything like with community engagement stuff, and then our education director, who manages the school and the education program. And our education director, Angela, she's Haitian American, so that helps a lot. She can go back and forth. And yeah, she's got a whole community of people in Haiti. I don't blend in as much, so it's a little bit more nerve-wracking, I would say, for me and for the people around me as well. Like you kind of put, like if it's obvious that you're an American, they associate you with money and you can get kidnapped. And then even if you don't get kidnapped, the people with me could after I left. So it's just not worth the risk at the moment. But we do get things done. We talk every day, all day, every day. I just have to put trust in the video calls that everything's going the way that it should.
And I mean, I don't know if I should ask this, but has any kidnappings happened or any of your staff?
Yeah, it has. Our contractor was kidnapped for 2 weeks. That was pretty scary. And we had to cut off like our contractor that built the school for us, and he does like a bunch of construction projects for us. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. He was um yeah, kidnapped for a while. We didn't know what was gonna happen, but he's still in Haiti. Nothing bad happened to him. He got
Wow,
his ransom. But like a lot of family members of our staff members, we've had our staff held at gunpoint. And that was pretty scary. But yeah.
man. you
everything.
would not assume that would be on the resume. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
that's more like a FBI crisis like negotiator type deal. That's not like nonprofit organization.
It
Um,
is in Haiti.
yeah, I was gonna say. So would
Yeah.
you? This seems like the type of job that you can't really write the description on paper, if that makes sense. Like,
Mm-mm.
obviously, you're structuring like all these schools, you're helping the kids, but the bottom line, it feels like, is you're a fixer. Would you say like 70% of your job is fixing everything else? To this stage, I would say, like you're 5 years in, usually you've got the groove on the main, like getting the
Yeah.
kids in, stuff like that. It's the new stuff or like the big problems that you're handling,
Yeah.
right?
It's like, yeah, definitely. There's always something new every day. You're constantly putting out fires. And it's a matter of like, how can we continue giving, like, providing our programs or doing our programs while, navigating this new crisis that just arrived? Like, um, for example, where our orphanages, the gangs took over the neighborhood, essentially. So it wasn't safe for us to be there. So I get a call, and last minute, I'm on the phone with a realtor that I had connected with like 3 years ago in Haiti. And I'm like, please find us an apartment somewhere safer so that we can rent. And then you're negotiating all this. But so you have to be very flexible, think on your feet. But yeah, still able to like not shut everything down,
And
work
the
around things.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking at the same time is, I mean, you're running operations, but not like a normal business where your operations are producing revenue. You
Hmm.
actually have to, with your other hand, is try to take in donations and try to like increase that amount of money that's coming in. Because obviously, I guess no one really thinks about this in the last 3 years, but maybe people will adapt. Inflation. Like
Hmm.
we always donate $500, but that $500 now probably doesn't go as far as it did like before COVID.
Hmm.
How do you pitch people? Like and when I say pitch, it sounds like a sales pitch, but it's more like going towards something good.
Yeah, I think that the best way to do it is to be transparent and give like regular updates. So I think that with our programs, they change a little bit based on the situation, and anybody who's donating to Haiti like keeps up on the situation. Um, and so we're constantly sending out newsletters, making updates on what's going on, but also like reminding people of the positive things. Like we are working through all of this. We are still providing our programs and we're still making an impact. But like you said, it's gotten a lot harder with um, the crisis in Haiti, the political crisis, and having to like fill donors in on, the changes and everything. And it makes people skeptical that, their money is going to the right place. So I think transparency and like constant communication is more important than ever. And then I think that the reason that we kind of were able to garner a lot of support is that I emphasize like that personal connection to what's going on in Haiti. Like I was living there at the time, so I would connect people with the kids and we do an English speaking partner thing. So like the kids get to talk to people here in the States. And so people can really like feel firsthand um the people that they're impacting and that need their help.
Yeah, that
I
makes
think it
that
makes easier.
makes much sense because I feel like who was I talking to? I was talking to a woman who had worked at a nonprofit for I guess providing like clothes and coats to kids. And the best way to quantify that was like they were giving the people who were donating or giving the money, like gave it physically to the children. And I
Yeah.
feel like when you can really obviously put a face to who you're helping, and I don't know if you watched PBS as a kid. I didn't have cable, so I didn't have PBS. But there
Hmm.
was always that man who was walking on like the tracks, like donate $1 a day, like,
Hmm.
and it just reminds me of that, where it's just like kind of impersonal. Whereas if like a video call, that's like can you imagine how much more funds they would have got like through that back in the day? Obviously,
Yeah.
technology was not what it is today, but putting like a human face who's actually in need in front of you talking back and forth, that
Mhm.
I feel like goes a lot longer, a lot farther than numbers, statistics.
Yeah.
Um, no, but that's great. Do you guys, this is just kind of like a curiosity question. Do you guys do any tutoring overseas? Like, do you guys have the capability to kind of do that as well?
We do. We haven't done that yet, and it's because of the language barrier.
Hmm.
So our kids are getting better at English. That's why we do the English speaking partner. And that's helped a ton. They'll spend like an hour with somebody just like asking questions and practicing speaking. Because you learn English in class, but really speaking it is how you learn the most. But yeah, no one really speaks Haitian Creole that can do it, and the French is limited as well. So
That makes sense.
yeah.
So trying to have this come full circle, where obviously you want the school to get bigger, you want it to get safer, you want kind of like it would be awesome if some students actually came back and taught. That would be like
Yeah.
the best thing ever. Obviously, you want them to be happy and do whatever they
Mhm.
they want, but where do you see the project going? Like down the road, let's say, where do you see the perfect vision right now in your head?
Yeah. So with I want to grow our school. Like you said, right now it's K through fifth. And grow it as much as we can every year, either if it's one grade or two grades, whatever. And then I'd like to get it accredited like with a US curriculum. So a curriculum that is recognized in the US. There's three schools in Haiti, or there might be more than that. Three schools that I can think of in Port-au-Prince that are accredited for that. And I just think that it would give the kids so many opportunities. And if we could find people, 6 years from now who know the kids and have invested in them that would want to give them scholarships and to go to school in the US, even at a community college or something like that. That would be so, so cool. Um, and yeah, and we would have it be a free school. So they're really expensive in Haiti, but we would have it be a free quality US curriculum in Haiti.
No, that's great. And
Yeah.
then one personal question for you.
Mhm.
Obviously, there must be, I mean, after all those things you told me, kidnapping, political issues, and then the numerous fires you have to put out, how do you maintain just an emotional, like, levelness, I want to say, because there's probably some bad days where you're just like, especially being this far away, like you must feel, I'm not going to say useless, but like just like you said, you're all the way over here. How do you maintain a levelness, I want to say,
Yeah.
emotionally?
No, it's definitely tough. Um, I make time to FaceTime with the kids, even if we're not talking about work stuff, just so that I still feel connected to them. And I also have a lot of support. I didn't mention this. I have two Haitian siblings that my parents adopted. And my younger sister, she's adopted at 15, so she still is like very connected to what's going on in Haiti. So her and I talk like a lot and commiserate over everything that's going on and how badly we wish that we could be there. Um, and I think that that's brought me, yeah, a lot of peace and everything. And I think that it's going to get better too. I have this hope that I'm going to come back one day. Haiti goes in these ebbs and flows. It's worse now than it's ever been, but I just have to hold out hope that I'll be there soon.
How is your Haitian Creole, if I
It's
said
pretty
that?
good. It's pretty good.
That's
I was very, very good when I was living there, and then you lose it a little bit, but I can still get by.
that's good. That's interesting. When
Yeah.
you said you had siblings, I was like, that must mean you at least, like practice when you weren't there as well. So
Yeah, we speak in Creole all the time.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, okay, last question. Uh, what is something that your parents did that you'd like to pass on to your kids? And what is something new or different that you'd like to do?
You asked me this earlier and I had something in my head and now
It's okay, you can think.
I can think. I would say that I'm happy that my parents instilled empathy in me and accountability. They were never the parents telling me that I'm always right about everything. They always wanted me to see the other side of the story, and I'm definitely that kind of person. But I guess something I would change is I wish they told me I was right a little bit more. It was always like devil's advocate, like, what did they do? You must be wrong, which is good, but also maybe a
Yeah,
little bit more like
I
you're right
totally get
sometimes.
that. No, that's nice.
Mhm.
Well, thank you very much, Emily, for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you. It was great talking to you.
If you like this week's episode of People More Interesting Than Me, please follow me on Apple Podcasts so you won't miss out on more episodes like these.